You are listening to Parking Lot Perspectives with Darren and Evan.
Hey, welcome back to Parking Lot Perspectives, episode 6. That's right, we're on episode 6 now. This is a special episode. Ev, what do we got for the audience?
Darren, we have a special show here.
Special show.
We have a special show. We have two of our best neighbors in the neighborhood with us today.
Dare I say friends more than neighbors?
I would say they're family.
Family, La Familia.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Very close, very close.
Just so you know, these two ladies that we're about to talk with, they are the biggest Halloween fanatics I've definitely ever met. They do their homes. They host Halloween parties. Make me look like I'm in kindergarten while they're in a master's degree course of Halloween decorating.
Wow.
Yes?
You really were practicing that.
I was practicing. No, that's just right off the hip. So what we want to do, folks, is we want to do something different on Parking Lot Perspectives. We want to talk with our friends and get their top 5, because they're individually top 5, Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure we're on the same page, right? Halloween movies doesn't necessarily mean scary.
Not like Halloween,
It
Michael
could be
Myers.
Hocus Pocus for all we know, right? It doesn't have to be
Could be
anything
Die Hard.
bloody. Die Hard is not a Halloween, nor is it a
Definitely not a Christmas movie either.
Thank you. So that's what we're going to do, folks. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have our friends talk a little bit about the movie, what the kind of the plot was, or the actors, and why it is so important, right? Because I think it's key for moviegoers like all of us watching and listening to this to understand why these movies are our friends' top 5.
It's a change of pace, right? You've been probably sick of hearing us. I think it's time we pass the mics.
Amen to that. So, with that, we want to introduce our two friends, Jess and Jen. No
J and J.
J and J. And with that, ladies, say hello.
Hello.
Excellent. So, we are going to just go right off the top. We're going to ask each one of them to talk about their 5th favorite. Then we'll go 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And Evan and I are going to be looking up on IMDb while they're talking to catch anything, add anything in.
Fact checks,
right? So just have a little bit of fun. This will not be our normal episode. We want to have some fun. It is the Halloween season. We have 2 great friends of ours. We want to make sure that all of you are excited about the movies like we are.
Yeah.
Because we could make this episode really long. We're not looking to make it really long. We're looking for you to get 10 different movies potentially that are Halloweenish that you might be able to watch in the next few days before
Add
Halloween.
it to your watch list. That's
Amen.
it.
Amen.
I might be adding a few.
Let's go. So Jen, you are up first. Your number 5.
Well, let me just preface this by this is a very difficult decision for Jess and I, because not only did it have to be our favorite movies, but there's a lot that went into this as far as the fear factor, the scar factor of how it traumatized us, some of it.
Deep.
So there's a lot in this top 5, but I think Jess can relate to that.
It means a lot.
Excellent. Very good.
So
number 5.
my number 5 is Pet Sematary by Stephen King.
Ooh.
So this one, I believe, was originally made in 1989.
That is correct.
You are correct.
I remember seeing this movie when I was in high school. And
Thank you for dating yourself and myself. Thank you.
Well, actually, I want to say it was right before well, no, maybe it was right before.
89 would have been high school.
I don't
No, it wouldn't have been.
It wasn't around.
Maybe, I don't know.
Definitely wasn't around during this time.
Almost high school.
So why did it mean so much to you, Jen?
It meant a lot because there was a lot of just, scary parts. There was scenes where, the family members died, and then the character would then bury them in this pet cemetery that would bring animals back to life, and then it ended up bringing humans back to life, but they weren't the same. They thought that they were going to bring back their loved one, and it was not their loved one.
Ooh.
It was traumatic.
Plot twist.
I mean, the guy brought his child back. He brought his wife back. I mean,
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. There's spoiler alerts.
People who haven't seen the
I mean, it's only 1989, Jen.
there was a remake, though.
There was actually, yes, there was. There was actually, I think there's a Pet Sematary 2, and then there was a remake recently.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, I won't go, I mean, I sort of told a little bit, but it's actually a very good movie. And then there is other scenes within the movie that traumatized me, because one of the main characters, the wife in the movie, had a sister who had some sort of disease.
Denise Crosby? Is that Denise Crosby? I believe.
She was like deformed, and she had like
mom, yeah.
she had like food dripping out of her mouth, and the daughter or the wife had to like feed her, and they would flash back to how like messed up she was.
I'm
Anyway,
already grossed out and freaked
it,
out.
it was
I'm ready to
messed
watch
up.
this.
I don't know if anybody saw the movie, but you know what I'm talking about when you see it.
Excellent. So, with that, let's just dive in just a little deeper on that. One, it had the great Fred Gwynne from the Munsters. Some of you might remember the Munsters show.
Yep.
He was in there. I did see this movie at the theater. I was not in high school.
Was it a Regal?
This was post-high school, not a Regal. That's smart, Alec, not a Regal.
Good idea.
Did star Dale Midkiff. He was a guy that's kind of a character actor. He's been in a few shows over the years. Just so everyone knows, this guy did The Crow Salvation, Love Comes Softly. Not a lot of movies, but a lot of movies you might just see him in. He was a character actor. But Fred Gwynne was really the big guy out of this. The key thing on this, I think that Jen hit, this was a Stephen King novel. This was one of the first, and I will say, as a pet lover, freaked me out when I saw it. So, yeah, I would appreciate
it. So I have cats at home. Should I be nervous?
You should be nervous. It was
Churchill. Church, I think, was the cat's name.
Oh, see?
Was
the
cat's name. Great.
Quick, I will
They're
say
all
the
gonna die.
cinematography on this was very good that I remember, and the soundtrack was very, very good. It was an intense soundtrack, kind of like a Smile 2 soundtrack.
Oh,
wasn't it
then
the
it was
Ramones?
good.
It was more of a score.
The Ramones.
The Ramones had one or two songs in it.
I don't
but
want to
think
be
it was a song
buried
score.
in Pet Cemetery.
I want to be buried in the pet cemetery.
Remember that song?
Woof!
No, but I'm going
All
to
right.
add it
All
to my
right.
list.
So we got Jen's number 5. We're going to
Number
move on
5.
to Jess. Jess, what is your 5th favorite?
My number 5 is the 1996 Scream.
Oh.
Because I don't know how old I was then, but I was young. And I just remember thinking, like, how scary. You're in the house and someone calls you, the killer. Is that a spoiler?
Hello, Sydney.
Wow. Spoiler number 2.
It's all right.
And calls you, and he's talking to you and knows everything that you're doing. I just feel like that was, like, for me, and probably even now, that's so scary, especially with the technology that we have now.
Ooh, good point about the technology.
It also introduced the whole back into the masked man, you know, like, you know.
Right, that was the one that started the whole
Ghostface.
The ghost
It's
face.
actually a painting. It's
Is it?
It's Scream by Van Gogh, maybe? I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
We
You have
can
to
check
fact
that.
check that.
Yeah,
But
fact check that.
I think, Jess, am I right? That is the one that introduced the mask, the
Probably.
ghost, and that was prevalent throughout the next, like, 15, 20 years, I think.
Well, yeah, because then you went on to do, like, the spoofs, like Scary Movie.
Great
and
movie.
all
That was a
that.
great one. Scary Movie was great.
Phenomenal.
Yes, so I think it kind of paved the way for some other things.
I mean, they're remaking. They're still doing them.
Yes.
They
That's
just
the
made
point.
one. I
Yes.
just watched one. It was
Yeah.
30 year.
Yeah, so I think that's great. So it scarred you
That's all.
because inside the house, it was kind of freaky.
Well, I felt like it was so realistic.
Yeah,
Whereas
okay.
when I saw other things that were scary, and I don't really love scary movies, but I felt like that, for me, that was so realistic it could happen.
Yes.
Fair enough. So for me, that reminds me of the old 1970s, early 70s movie,
Killing me.
Stranger in the House. When a
Yes.
stranger calls. When a stranger
Oh,
calls.
yes.
Oh, I saw the remake.
The babysitter
The babysitter. But
and the brick wall.
yep, duh.
Yeah, I think with Jess's point, this is realistic.
This is realistic, and I think more importantly, this was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the first scary movies with a ton of big actors.
Oh,
You
okay.
had
Yeah.
That's a good
Nev
point.
Campbell,
Yep.
Courtney Cox, David Arquette. They were married at the time. You had
Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore. You had
Matthew Lillard. What is it? Lillard.
Rose McGowan was in it, and Matthew Lillard, the guy that people might remember from the Scooby Doo movies. He played Shaggy.
He's good.
So I mean, you had a lot of big names in this. That's a good call. So
Yeah.
I think more importantly, one, it was so well replicated throughout the next 30 years, right? So that's 28 years ago that movie came out. It's been very well replicated numerous times. I will say, I saw the movie. I was more of a fan of Scary Movie, the mock of it. I thought they did a great job of making fun of it.
But really,
I think that's a
it
great
made
call.
Scary Movie take off from
Yeah.
this. Was I?
Yeah, I swear, it's the same thing. It's getting
But
weird.
Jenna Ortega's in the new one now. I mean, they're putting
Oh,
all
really?
these big time actors and actresses.
That's Jenna, not Jenny, as somebody might have said on our first podcast.
Yeah, some old guy.
So I think that's great, and I do think the camera work was great back then. I don't recall the score or the soundtrack much on that, but I think that the way the movie was shot was really good. I thought the special effects were very, very good in there, and I think your best point is, we've said it a few times in our podcast series, is that it's all about the realistic terms. Right?
Believable.
Believable. It's very believable. So, excellent. All right.
Makes it more creepy.
We are going to jump over back to Jen. Jen, what's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is Hocus Pocus, the original from 1993.
It's a classic.
And it's a classic. It's just a feel good Halloween movie. It's like the realistic, the trick-or-treaters, and then you get into the Sanderson sisters and they come back. And
is that your sweatshirt that you're wearing from maybe where that Eric?
It might be.
Salem, Massachusetts,
I
people.
happen to
Foreshadowing.
visit there.
Was that last year, Jen? You might
That
have
was
visited there.
2 years ago, I believe. Yes. So, and I also dressed up as Winifred last year for our Halloween party.
We'll put a
picture up if the ladies don't mind. We both of them had Halloween parties. It was the hardest decision we had to make as friends, and God bless them, they split their Halloween parties up, so we had to get 2 different costumes to wear.
Yes.
One to Jess, one to Jen's.
Yes.
But Jess and Jen take outfits to a whole other level. To where Evan might wait till the day of.
I did.
Every time.
But I killed it. I did a good job. With Jess's help.
Jess and Jen do have great Halloween parties. And if we can, and we got their permission, we'll post some of the pictures up.
We have permission? All right. They signed documents from the guy. We're good.
So, Jen, real quick, why again number 4? Why was this in brief synopsis?
I think it's just it's a movie I definitely will watch every year. It just gets you in the mood for Halloween. It's just like is a good movie to kick off the whole season. Anybody can watch it.
Yeah, PG, rated PG.
It's just a fun family movie. Gets you in the spirit of Halloween.
And to let you know how important it is to Jen, Jen has a Lego Hocus Pocus house with all the characters that she got last year. And it's up, and it was she just had the party this last Saturday, and I saw it there, and I was like, oh, that's right. It took them forever to put this thing together. Just a reminder for everybody that has not seen this. I agree with Jen. It's a fun movie.
I really hope everyone's seen this already.
You never know. Okay, to be fair, this is why I think it's important for this episode and for people listening and watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow us.
Please.
I think this is why it's important. Until I met Jen, I had never seen Hocus Pocus.
Come on.
And I didn't watch it until last year. It was the very first time I saw Hocus Pocus. So, I'm just saying, I'm older than all of you, so...
Pet Sematary is on my list. I've never seen it.
It's a great
Thanks
movie.
to Jen.
It's a great movie. It's scary. Hocus Pocus is fun. What Jen said about its family, I mean, anyone could watch it. And I think it does kick off the season. But listen to the cast. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy. Those 3 alone, I think, carry the movie because they are the movie. There's a lot of bit characters in here. But a fun movie. I think Disney Plus plays the hell out of it now, if I'm not mistaken. Nothing wrong with it. It is a fun movie, and I love Jen's point about it kicks off the season. I do think the special effects on that were a little cheesy, a little corny, but it's a fun
kid movie. It's a family movie.
It was fun.
It was fun. Excellent. Okay, great. Anything
so you wouldn't say Scream is a family-friendly movie?
No, I would not. When the Ghostface raises a knife, no, that would not be family-friendly.
Just wanted to clarify.
It's not like hitting your face with a 35-pound weight. So let's move over to Jess and get Jess's number 4.
My number 4 is the 1991 The Addams Family.
Ooh,
wow.
Christina Ricci and Angelica Houston. I feel like I could be a part of their family. I want to be a part of their family. I am obsessed with Morticia.
Mm-hmm.
I think she is
I can see
perfect.
that.
I love her so much.
Mm-hmm.
I love Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
She's very moody. I might be very moody. I just love it. I love their house. I love their vibes. I think it was a great movie. I loved the characters. I loved the actors. I think they pulled it off really well.
So why does it stick with you? What's the number 1 point why it sticks with you and it's number 4?
Because they're like spooky, but in my head they feel normal, and it feels.
Ooh, that's a really good point for our listeners to think about.
No, that's
right?
comfortable.
Because if you're watching or listening, right, all of us have things that we're like, ooh, that's weird, but it feels normal, and that no one's weird. We're all weird. We're all normal.
All of us are weird,
right? But I think that's a really good point because you look at it, it doesn't influence you to think otherwise. It's just they're just people, and a lot of people don't know that the Addams Family started in what major publication? Anyone?
Isn't it the newspaper comic?
The New Yorker. Started actually in the New Yorker. Wow. Long time ago. I think Charles Addams, if I'm not mistaken, was the writer, but
he was.
Woo! Darren just pulling it right out of left field on that one.
You sure you don't have IMDb in front of you?
That is not on my IMDb. So the one thing I will say to Jess's point, this has got Angelica Houston, daughter of Bueller, John Huston, the famous director.
John Huston.
Thank you. Great job pulling that one out of your rectum, because rectum damn near killed him. You got Raul Julia in here, who's long since passed, unfortunately. You've got Christopher Lloyd, who Back to the Future fame.
Yes.
You had Dan Hedaya, who also was in Clueless. I think he was the dad in Clueless. And you had a lot of other people.
Was this
in
Christina Ricci's first movie?
Was it really?
Was it?
Oh, I don't know.
This is a question for everyone.
I mean,
It might be close.
It might be close. It might be close. I know the kid that played Pugsley didn't do anything else. He kind of went off the face here, but Christina Ricci, yeah. So I think, one, I grew up not when the original TV series was out. I watched the reruns, of course, in black and white. But to Jess's point, they felt normal. I think it's a really good point that she makes, because Uncle Fester to me was everybody's fun Uncle Fester, right? He was a bald guy when bald guys were not on TV, quite honestly. This was before Kojak and Telly Savalas, so there wasn't a lot of bald characters on. But I think the Addams Family is a really good one. They made 2 or 3
I believe so.
after this. But, yeah, I think Angelica Houston nails it as Morticia Addams.
very classy.
And I will say, the one thing that always makes me laugh is when I think of, like, the Addams Family, every time I think of this movie, it reminds me of the TV series, right? And the guy who starred in the TV series, John Ashton, I believe, he was phenomenal as Gomez Addams. And when he did the French thing and kissed her arm. But Raul Julia did a great job. This was I would tell you, this is a solid. I mean, all your picks so far are good. This, to me, really resonates. Have you seen Addams
Yes,
Family?
I've seen this, but it was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
I'm gonna have to do a lot of work.
You weren't even born when this came
No,
out.
still not born yet. I need some. Come on, ladies.
Oh, yes, Jess.
I was Morticia for Jen's first Halloween party.
Ooh, we'll have to check see if we have that picture.
Oh,
We'll have to
we'll get
post
it.
that. We'll post that.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
That is solid. Number 4. All right, good one.
That's good. That's
All right, and by the way, I think the soundtrack on that was great. The cinematography was great. Special effects on the Addams Family, the original one was fantastic. It was great.
Yeah.
Okay, Jen, you're number 3.
All right. So my number 3, I like this movie, but it scares the crap out of me.
Love those.
Scares the crap out of me. So this movie is also by Stephen King. This is It, the original, 1990.
Still not born.
And I believe that one, I think maybe was a miniseries.
It was.
Okay. And then they had made the remake recently. But it, the whole thing, I mean, just the whole thing about the clown, freaky as hell. And then just, you're walking down the street and you happen to see a sewer drain and somebody's in the drain and it happens to be a clown staring at you. I mean, I don't know. You can't get scarier than that. I don't know.
So, Jen, why does it stick with you? Why is it number 3 on your list?
Because the clown really freaked me out. Like, it
So-
really freaked me out.
I just want to jump in here because I did see this when it first came out. Don't be laughing at me. I did see this, and I think the remake, because I think the one of the kids from
Yeah.
Stranger Things is in the remake.
Correct.
And Tim Curry did the original clown.
Yeah,
Scary
yeah.
as all bejesus, to Jen's point. Richard Thomas was in this movie. Tim Reed was in this movie. Annette O'Toole. The late Harry Anderson was in this movie. John Ritter, I forgot, was in this movie. Looks like that might be the big list of most of the people that were in it. But I think, to Jen's point, this was a TV series.
Yes.
It
I
came
didn't
out-
know that.
Yeah, it started as a TV series, and
For kids?
No.
no.
It's a
It's rated-
mini-series.
it's rated 14.
It had 2 episodes. It had 2 episodes. It was, for TV, I think it was very, very well done. Definitely not a quality of the latest remake of the movie, but very, very good.
It was, and it started out. They were all children. It was like a group of kids, and this experience stuck with them until adulthood, when
Right.
everything started happening again. So it's like it traumatized their whole lives, and it just
Relatable.
sticks with
Believable.
you.
Very relatable, right? Because you think about when you're younger and you watch a movie that stays with you, it scares the heck out of you. That stays with your whole life. And I'm with Jen because Evan showed it at the Halloween party. Was your brother or one of your friends dressed up as the clown?
Yes. Yes.
And he showed it, and I was like, God dang it. I mean,
He killed it.
He killed
Nick,
it.
shout out.
Nick, shout out to Nick because the picture was freaky. So
Did you see the new one?
Yes, I saw the new one, and
Yeah.
honestly, the new one, that Pennywise was scarier than the original. I mean, just with the makeup and the mouth
Yeah.
and the teeth. Oh.
Bill
And then-
Skarsgård.
Part of the Skarsgård family.
Yeah. So it was, yeah, it was pretty traumatic. If you like that thing, if you like scary movies and clowns, you know.
Is that why you're always walking around the neighborhood and you're avoiding the sewer drain?
Well played, Evan.
We only have a few.
There's
So
that.
I will say that the quality back then, because it was a 2-episode TV miniseries, the quality wasn't like a movie, but it was still very good.
Yeah.
But the score was traumatic. I mean, it sucked you in. So great call. Then, man, you guys got some good lists. All right, let's jump over to Jess, your number 3.
My number 3 is a repeat, and that's why Jen and I are friends. It's Hocus Pocus, the
Wow.
1993 one, because it's a classic. I feel like
Yes.
it's a Halloween classic. She put it very well. I agreed with everything she said when she talked about Hocus Pocus. The characters are great. The actors are great. It's perfect. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. Period. End of story.
You know what's great is it saves us time on the podcast.
Well,
We'll
did
start
they?
our
We
time.
didn't ask this. Did you see the new one? Did you like it better than the?
No.
No, that's what I keep hearing.
But I think what both Jess and Jen said is it is the movie that kicks it off. I just feel so good. It is. And I'm not a huge Halloween. I think you folks have, for the last few episodes, the month of October was all Evan's kind of genre. It was the scary movies and jump scares and Mega Crapolis, things like that. But
That was terrible.
that was terrible. So, but this is all about Halloween, and I think Jess and Jen hit it. It's a family movie. Everyone, it kicks off the season. If I'm not mistaken, is almost always on ABC's Freeform Family is like October 1st.
Yeah.
It's like it really kicks off the Halloween.
Yeah, I feel
season.
like the Christmas Story is always played during
Great
Christmas
call.
time. This is always played during.
Great,
Halloween.
yeah, that's a great
So,
lineup. Great
yeah.
parallel right there. Excellent job. All right, Jen, we're up to your number 2.
Okay.
No pressure.
This number 2 is in a series of movies again. So this is Friday the 13th, the original. This is 1980. And I mean, I just remember growing up watching all of these movies. There's probably, I don't even know how many now, maybe 10.
There's a lot.
There's a lot, but I remember just watching this one, especially this first one. It was always on during Halloween, also, and on Friday the 13th. If it happened to be Friday the 13th, whatever month it was on. So I don't want to give anything away if you've never seen it.
Go for it.
But
It was the 80s, Jen.
I mean, I would hope you've seen it by now. But in the this very first one, it's actually not Jason Voorhees that is the killer. If you did not know this,
Wow.
That is a major spot. You might have to cut that. You might have to edit.
I
that.
mean, but the part that's really freaky too is the mother.
Yeah.
The mother of it's these kids at camp, obviously, and what happened was Jason was a child and drowned in the lake, and the camp counselors were not paying attention, and that's how he died. So Pamela Voorhees, who is Jason's mother, went on a rampage basically and ended up killing a lot of the camp counselors that were there.
Tragic.
And she did it because her son was telling her to do it. And at the end, you could probably find the clip where she's like talking in Jason's voice.
I'll
like,
find it for you.
Kill her, mommy. Kill her.
Kill her, mommy. Kill her.
It was.
Very psycho shit.
Kill her, mommy. And I was like, oh, she's really out there.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. To me, this came out 2 years after Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis. This to me was the start as a kid, getting into my adult years. I think what Jen said, Friday the 13th. I went to the theater to see this. Bad mistake. I think could be why I don't watch horror movies. By the way,
It scarred you for life?
It scarred.
You're back watching.
in 1980. This was a different.
You
genre.
made it through Smile too?
The Smile 2 is not even close. In the original 1980,
Wow.
this was a scarier movie than Smile 2, in my opinion, by a long shot. Many people don't know this was actually one of Kevin Bacon's first roles right after Animal House. He plays a guy, I think it's an arrow stuffed right through his chest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he's a camp. He's one of the camp.
He's one of the camp
counselors.
counselors, Jack. Yeah. No names in this movie, and I think that's what made it great. Is we've seen a lot of our movies that Evan and I do on Parking Lot Perspectives. Is it doesn't always take a huge cast to make it great. Hocus Pocus has 3 big
It's funny,
names.
like the
This
name.
doesn't.
I'm looking at the list. I don't recognize any but Kevin Bacon.
Yeah,
And he had a
he's only
small
one.
role in this, right?
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it was years after this movie came out that many people knew that the sound effect in the background was shh, shh, that plays throughout the entire movie.
Do that again?
No, I'm not going to do it again. But I will just say again, a great call. This was the one that just stuck with me. So all I can say is, for scare factor, I will tell you this would be easily my top 5 scare factors.
And they did the most recent one, I believe, was in 2009, and that one was excellent.
Oh.
You need to see that.
Have not seen that. All right.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, Jen. God, this is fun. You guys got some great lists. All right, Jess, we're over to you for your number 2. No
Okay.
pressure.
This is the movie that scarred me. Scarred me. I think that I was probably 12 years old. We can go back and do the math. It came out in 2001.
Yes. All right.
It is 13 Ghosts.
Yes.
Last year,
Great
I
movie.
decided to go back and watch this movie because my husband had not seen it.
Shout out to
And
Chris.
so, shout out Chris. Had not seen it or didn't remember.
I have no idea what the hell she's talking. I've never heard of this movie.
Oh, add it to the list.
This is why we're doing this, though. Sorry to cut you off, Jess. This is why we're doing this.
Yes.
I've never heard of this.
It
And Tony
is-
Shalhoub is in it.
Matthew Lillard. Is
And
in-
Matthew Lillard, the guy from
Scream.
Scooby-Doo.
And
Scream.
Scooby-Doo.
Sorry, keep going, Jess.
So I decided to watch this back last year thinking I'm older now. I shouldn't be scared. When I was younger, I had nightmares about this movie.
I'm with
I
you.
then had nightmares again about this movie. Matthew Lillard's in it. He's amazing. Spoiler alert, they get trapped in this glass house with all these ghosts that are locked up, and there's spells all over the glass, and they pretty much have to fight for their lives. And it is terrifying.
F. Murray Abraham's in this.
There's so many people in this.
Tony
How have I
Shalhoub
never
from
Shalhoub.
Monk. Shalhoub.
Shalhoub.
Shannon Elizabeth from American Pie.
Oh my gosh.
Nadia.
I've never heard of this.
Go watch it.
Go watch it. And, well, I don't know if you can
By
handle
the
it.
way, so here's the great thing. Don't always go by what's on IMDb, right? It's only got 5.6 out of 10 stars, a 30 Metascore. If Jess says it's worth watching, I'm going to go watch it because I take her and Jen's point on these movies very seriously. F. Murray Abraham is huge. I think he's like 94 now. Awesome. Okay, it stuck with you real quick. Why did it stick with you?
It scarred me for
Scarred
life.
you. Okay, well, that's
So
good enough for
the
me.
director made Ghost Ship too, in the Abyss. Now Ghost Ship was also low rating, but I thought that was very good too. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
Steve Beck did The Abyss? I thought that was James Cameron.
He did the visual effects.
The
for
visual
Abyss.
effects. Okay, just making sure. Fact check on Evan.
Yeah. He also did the visual effects for the Indiana Jones movies. So
my.
back then. So
Wow. Okay, well.
yeah, this is
wow.
good. Add it to your list.
I-
Jess, awesome.
Wow.
That might make my top 5.
And you actually were born when this came out.
I,
All right.
That's why I cheered.
Drum roll for Jen's number 1.
Number 1, folks. Brace
My
yourselves.
number 1 is probably not too surprising. My number 1 is the original Halloween, made in 1978.
Awesome.
I watch this movie literally every year, probably multiple times.
It was on during your party.
It was.
Yep. I almost sat down and just
It
watched it the whole
was.
time.
It to me, it's just I like the whole like cat and mouse thing of where somebody's chasing you, you gotta hide, you gotta try to get away, and this guy he just won't die. I mean, you can shoot him, you can try to chop off his head, you can burn him. He's not going to die, and he has a whole series. There's probably I don't even know.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. 10 movies maybe. Jamie Lee Curtis. This was like her breakout.
It was her first movie.
Which
Really?
I think their budget was super low.
John Carpenter had no money to make this movie. That's why he did the sound for the movie. He did the
This movie
score.
made a ton of
Budget
money.
of 300,000
Yeah.
over a 20-day shoot. 47 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
On 300,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was her big role, and obviously all of the other movies that came after that all went back to the original. Jamie Lee has now been in most of. I think there's 3 current movies that just came out within the past couple of years, and she's in all of them. Yeah. And she's always says how thankful she is that she was in the original movie because it like
Promoted her career up.
It
Yep.
did everything. It was her first movie. I will tell you, the great Donald Pleasance was in this. He played Loomis.
Loomis.
He was just
Repeat
phenomenal.
that?
Loomis.
For the view. Okay, thank you.
Donald Pleasance. He was in a ton of movies. English actor. Also, PJ Souls was in this. A lot of people might not know who that is. She was the blonde actress that was in Stripes with Bill Murray. and Harold Ramis.
Fantastic.
I did want to say that I mentioned that John Carpenter had no money. He actually composed the theme to this. He did a lot of the stuff. This, to me, I'll be fair. I think I was 11 when this came out. This was the very first scary movie I saw in the theater. And then I went back to see Halloween 2 with my cousin Mary and spilled a big bucket of popcorn on her because it scared the crap out of me. This movie was the original, oh my God, I'm now an adult and I don't want to watch these kind of movies. And this is why I don't watch scary movies.
I wish I was born to watch this when it first came out.
Did you see this? Have
Yeah.
you seen it? Okay.
But
yeah,
not the theater experience.
Yeah, the theater was not a place I wanted to see this in. I'll just be very upfront. So, wow. Okay. Jess, your top movie is...
I think you can guess. It's the original Beetlejuice.
Nice.
It came out in 1988. Sorry, Evan. That was the year I was born.
So out of all these movies, one movie I was alive for.
It's everything. Michael Keaton is amazing. He's perfect.
Yes.
Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hare. I love all of them. I love the vibe. The first time I ever saw it, I was 4 years old at my grandparents' house. My mom told them I was not supposed to be watching it, but my grandpa would put it on because he thought it was hilarious that I would laugh at all the cuss words. I now watch it every year. I love Beetlejuice. I think he's perfect.
And I think this is another
great
one.
take there,
Yeah.
because
That was great.
we agree 1,000% with our recent review with the Beetlejuice, which Jess loved.
And what's funny is this was on TBS. All the stations on TBS this last Saturday. This was on 24/7. Kind of like what Evan mentioned about how Christmas Story is on 24/7 during Christmas, or it kicks off the season. To me, Hocus Pocus and Beetlejuice, two movies you can watch. I know this is PG. Some people could think it's a little hard. I think it's great. This is a fun movie. More importantly, this is the one that got me to sing Harry Belafonte's Deus, the Banana Boat song. But Alec Baldwin, when you see him in this movie, I think it was one of his first movies, if I'm not mistaken. Doesn't even look like Alec Baldwin. You
No.
would not recognize him at all. Gina Davis was one of her first movies as well. Michael Keaton, if I'm not mistaken, this was after he did, I think, right around the time he did Gung Ho. Because he did, what's the movie about the dad? Mr. Mom. He did Mr. Mom.
Yeah, Mr.
And
Mom.
his career had been there, and then it kind of dropped, and he came back. And I think Tim Burton really got him back on this movie. And then, of course, the phenomenal Catherine O'Hare, who was in Beetlejuice that Evan and I loved.
Great.
So great call, Jess. I think this is great music. I think those special effects were better than the special effects in the second one.
Correct.
So awesome job. Okay, so I'm gonna ad lib here, and I'm gonna say, Evan, what is your number one Halloween movie? Okay, you want me to go? Will I give you time to think?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, folks. I've said it before.
Because you were ready for this.
I am ready for it. I've said it before. This is a movie that I saw that I actually fainted on when I was like 4 or 5 years old. Watched it in my grandma and grandpa's house on Bramall Street in Detroit, Michigan. And it was right when my parents were going through a divorce. It is the original Night of the Living Dead. I did not see it with my parents. I saw it with my family, my brothers. Scared, and I don't normally say it, the hell out of me. To this day, when Jess talks about a movie scarring you, I cannot watch this movie to this day. It still freaks me out, gives me the creeps. George Romero did this movie, no budget. It is considered the original zombie movie. I didn't know it back then. I can tell you this is why I'm not a fan of going to cemeteries, and I've got a lot of dead relatives. I don't go to a cemetery because one of the opening scenes, the first 10 minutes, I think, is Martha, they're coming to get you. It is just scary as hell. It's black and white. Ooh, did a lot of a lot of mental damage to me. A lot of mental damage. So that's my number one. Ev, yours.
It's hard to say, but 28 Days Later, which was an amazing zombie movie with Cillian Murphy. One of his first movies, I think.
I think so, yeah.
He killed it in that role, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but...
Hey, you were alive for that. That was 2002.
I know, it was great. It's zombies that run and sprint at you. It makes it believable that an apocalypse could happen like that. Not like The Walking Dead when they're crawling at you and you can get away. These, you would not get away. So you're trapped, you're done.
I turned this on years ago.
And they're coming out with he's returning in his role.
So this is kind
28
of
years later.
This is like World War Z.
Yes, World War Z zombies.
Yeah, and they fly. I mean, those babies are.
They don't fly.
They don't take flight. Run very, very fast.
They sprint, and that's what makes it scary. And awesome movie. I
So
mean,
this
I
was
would say
believable?
top 5. I don't know about number 1. You put me on the spot, but I would.
Ev doesn't like being put on the spot. Sometimes
But-
when you think about things, we just gotta just go with it.
I
So,
love it. Believable.
Excellent.
Zombie. If a zombie apocalypse happens, this is something I
Excellent.
would think would happen.
Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Again, if you're listening or watching, don't forget to like, click follow, or subscribe with
Yes,
us.
please.
Want to hear from you all. If you got ideas, let us know. We'll probably be doing something like this for Christmas as well.
Okay.
We have a friend, neighbor. His name is Nate. He is almost as big a Christmas junkie as I am.
I did not know that.
Oh, he is. But I want to give a shout out to Jess and Jen for
Yes.
doing a great job on their top 5.
Thank you so much for coming.
I've got 2 movies now I got to go watch that I've never
Yep.
really gotten into. So, Ev, close us out. What do you got?
All I got to say is thank you both for joining today.
Thank you for having
Really special moment because, again, Darren and I can talk about all the movies in the theater. I think it's very important that we have 2 moviegoers just like us
That's right.
in the same room as us discussing the movies that make them enjoy the movie experience the most. So thank you both. Really appreciate it. And honestly, go out, go watch these movies if you haven't seen them. I'm going to add a few on my list as well. But thanks all for watching.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.